Hey everybody, thanks so much for joining me here on Wave Now. I'm Myra and sorry. So we are going live to the Olmsted today where JCPS Superintendent is giving the State of the District address today and going to be talking about the 8-year tenure as superintendent as well as the challenges facing the next head of the Jefferson County Public Schools. They're getting started, so we're going to jump into this.
For all your floral needs, they are that good. Our students impress us every day, not only in the classroom, on the athletic fields, in their communities, on stage, everywhere they go. Please join me in welcoming one of those extremely talented JCPS students, Echo Trail Middle School student. She's in 7th grade, Carson Taylor. She will be performing Home from the Wiz for us. Where there's love overflowing, I wish I was home. I wish I was back there with the things I've been knowing. Wind that makes the tall grass bend into leaning, and suddenly raindrops that fall, they have a meaning. Sprinkling the sea makes it all so clean. And maybe there's a chance for me to go back now that I have some direction, and it sure would be nice to be back home where there's love and affection, and just maybe I can convince time to slow up, giving me enough time in my life to grow up. Time, please stay my friend and let me start again. And suddenly my world's gonna change its face, but I know where I'm going. I have had my mind spin around and around in space, yet I've watched it growing. Oh, I know you're listening, God. So won't you please try not to make it hard to know it's Remember that name, Carson Taylor. You will be hearing her name again. I'll also share Carson's dad is one of our incredible JCPS police sergeants. So we also thank him for everything he does for our students and staff every day. Incredible. Thank you, Carson. This event would not be possible without our incredible sponsors. So please let me take a moment to thank our sponsors today. Our presenting sponsor, Class Act Federal Credit Union. Our corporate sponsor and a first-time sponsor, Health Track RX. And our community sponsors, Bellarmine University, CMC, Care Solace, IBEW Local 369, Norton Healthcare, Paper, Republic Bank Foundation, Rogers Group, UPS, and Wyatt. Thank you all so much. The Jefferson County Public Education Foundation hosts this event for us. The foundation plays a pivotal role in advocating for excellence in public education by supporting the growth and success of Jefferson County Public Schools. Through its efforts, the foundation works to highlight the remarkable achievements of our students, our schools, and our staff, while also looking for ways to invest in the future of our students, schools, and staff. Please join me in welcoming Foundation Chair Franklin Jelsma.
Caroline, got some notes here because this is important. My name is Franklin Jelsma. I'm the chair of the Jefferson County Public Education Foundation. Our board consists of civic volunteers and business people who believe in and support JCPS. And we believe that every child in Jefferson County deserves a world-class education. And there's nothing more important than providing that education. And the responsibility for that education doesn't only fall on JCPS, but it's the shared responsibility of our whole community. We are honored to be here today with those who've devoted their lives to this important work, who care about our children. And we're really honored today to be here with Dr. Marty Polio. I want to take a moment real quick and recognize the board members and the foundation and the JCPS staff who support us. You all just raise your hand real quick. Thank you all. So, our mayor may be able to dispute me on this, but I've always maintained that the toughest job in Jefferson, in the state of Kentucky, is superintendent of JCPS. And sadly, this is Dr. Polio's last state of the district. By the time he retires, July 1, he'll have been on the job for 8 years. So if dog years are 7 to 1, superintendent years are at least 5 to 1. And that makes it at least 40 years. It might even feel like more than 40, Marty. It's never easy to be superintendent, but Marty's had a particularly tough stretch. Remember that right after he started, we had an attempted state takeover. And then there was a global pandemic. And then coming out of that, there was a staffing shortage. And somewhere around that time, it became popular on a national level to make public education a political football. And then we had task force. We've had audits and committee hearings and breaking news. Right. And then like a Marvel superhero, Marty's right there in the middle of all of it. He's our own Captain America. He was attacked from the right. He was attacked from the left. He was attacked on all sides. And he kept his eye on his North Star, which is student achievement. And that helped him get through all of this. Through the chaos, he kept his focus on our kids. And he did more than just survive. Marty has been a bold and innovative leader. He loves his job and he pours every ounce of himself into what he does every day. And his legacy extends far beyond all the fires that he has to put out every day and all the things that he keeps from turning into a fire every day. His legacy includes the outstanding Academies of Louisville program, which is now getting the national recognition that it deserves. A new and equitable student assignment plan, a dramatically improved tax base, and desperately needed new schools and athletic facilities, which are being built and opened across the county in neighborhoods that haven't seen new schools in generations. So it's no question that we'll be doing very well if we can find a new superintendent with half the passion that Marty brings to his job every day. Thank you, Dr. Polio. We're going to miss you very much. So these are uncertain times, right? But adversity and challenges aren't new to JCPS. In fact, it's probably the hallmark of JCPS. It's incredible to me to witness, and it's a constant source of inspiration for me. Challenges, which would be overwhelming for most of us, are just part of the everyday at JCPS. You all are all superheroes in my book, and please know that your work is appreciated and valued, and it's not just me saying that. Recall that in November, the legislature proposed to amend our Constitution to override 7 different sections of our Constitution so they could open the door for public tax dollars to be diverted into private and parochial schools. And our voters in all 120 counties said no. At nearly a 2-to-1 margin, that amendment was defeated. And that's a landslide victory for public education. Kentuckians know. Kentuckians know how important public education is to our community and to our democracy. There's a lot troubling the world today, right? Drugs, crime, disease, prejudice, bigotry, a widening gap between the haves and the have-nots. And I'm going to add to that list arrogance, ego, selfishness, greed. These are entrenched problems. And I really believe there's only one long-term viable solution, and that's public education. If we can provide all of our kids with a world-class education, everything else is going to fall into place, because public education is opportunity, it's economic development, it's the foundation of our democracy, it represents our investment in our future, and it's the fuel that drives the American dream. So thank you, Dr. Polio, for being our fearless leader. Thank you to everyone in this room who works every day with our children to build a better future. We appreciate it very much.
Thank you. If you are looking for a company that truly lives up to its name, look no further than Class Act Federal Credit Union. They are true class acts. The men and women who work there never hesitate to say, how can we help? To say yes, and to support our students and our staff and our schools. Class Act is once again our presenting sponsor this year. We thank them so much for that. They're going to show a brief video, and then after that video, we will hear from Kevin Johns with Class Act.
Good morning. Are we excited? All righty. And I want to start by saying congratulations, you all. Each of you took some time, hard work, and dedication to complete our Heroes Financial Wellness Academy. And we want to recognize you for that, because you worked really hard to learn some really important skills: saving, budgeting, credit, making smart decisions with your money. Not only did you get a certificate, but the school is receiving a check. Because Jacqueline completed 4 courses, you all get $2,500. And remember, money doesn't grow on trees, but if you manage it well and save it, you'll watch it grow in your bank account.
Thank you, Caroline. On behalf of Class Act Credit Union, I just want to welcome everyone to this year's State of the District. We are so proud to be your sponsor, and we're so excited to share another amazing year with you. At Class Act, our perception is the State of the District is healthy, it's thriving, and it's prosperous, and its future looks brighter than ever. You see, at Class Act, we get a front row seat almost every day to the incredible things that happen in the classrooms, that happens with our teachers, and the impact and the lives that you change for our students and for our families and for our community. So to that, JCPS, Marty, we'd like to say thank you. Let's give them a hand. You know, this relationship between JCPS and Class Act is just nothing more than a partnership. And I'd just like to recognize a few of our community partners that we work with. And I'm not supposed to know if I'm supposed to do this or not, but I'm going to do it anyway. This is someone, a community leader, a huge supporter of JCPS. And Jessica Polio, would you please stand up? I don't know if anybody knows everything she does. She's been a great partner with the Kentucky Derby Festival. You do such an incredible job, and we thank you for all you do. Next, I'd like to recognize our managers, Kiana, Jermaine. Stand up, please. Mercedes, This video was really developed by this incredible group. They developed this program, which is really a module. It's a series of presentations, materials, resources, tools that help not only students but adults prepare themselves for life and their financial future and to be successful. Only it's been released about 2 or 3 months, and already we have 20 schools signed up. Also, our teachers, our principals are learning they can get up to $4,500 in grants they can use for anything to help support their schools. So thank you. Also, we have Tom Annison, if you just stand up. Tom's been involved in the academies for Louisville for a long time. Tom runs our high school branches at Doss, Southern, and J-Town. He does an amazing job teaching the kids and preparing them for their life's journey. Also with us today, I'd like to introduce Dr. Stephanie Wooten. Please stand up. She's the director. She's the director of multiple pathways for teacher certification at University of Louisville. Stephanie has been with us from the very beginning in the creation of the Louisville Teacher Residency Program. She created the curriculum where non-traditional teachers can now get their certification and start their careers, sometimes for the first time at any age, as they support JCPS in their classrooms. She's a lot of fun. She's a great partner. So thank you, Stephanie. I also want to introduce a good friend of mine, Dr. Carr. Dr. Carr is over the professional learning and development program. Dr. Carr, we just love working with her, her energy, her creativity. We've been proud to sponsor and help support such programs as the JCPS University and JCPS 101. So thank you. Also, Dr. Greenwell, if you could stand up. She's been a great partner with us. Thank you for all that you do. You know, a foundational part of Class Act's strategic plan, business plan, is really just simply to help support our community and support education. It goes deeper than that as we create these partnerships and we support classrooms, teachers, bus drivers, community efforts. It really has been an incredible year, and I think it's just really is all part of just, it's really been easy just because of a shared vision, shared goals, and shared objectives. If I step back and look at this year, it's really highlighted by one word, and that's collaboration. And from that collaboration, I've seen innovation. I've seen additional research from both of our industries. I've seen a passion for developing people, students, families, and also a focus in promoting literacy. And if I could take even a further step back, some things I've seen from this year is, number one, results. And number two, momentum. And that's why, because of this amazing relationship with JCPS and because of our management team and the direction of our board of directors, I'm proud to announce a brand new department within Class Act. It's a branch operation that's going to be focused solely 100% on the multilingual learners of JCPS. It will be run by Mercedes Alonso, and it'll help give us a chance to duplicate the efforts that we provided and the things that we've come up with to support this unique community. So again, we're so excited about the future with JCPS. We thank you for your support, and we look forward to another amazing year in 2025. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So today's event not only celebrates the accomplishments of JCPS and where we're going in the future, but this is also to give back to our students and to the students who are going to continue our legacy. The funds raised here today go directly to the Superintendent Scholarship Fund. The Superintendent Scholarship Fund provides scholarships for students who may otherwise not be able to go to college. When we have Scholarship Surprise Day, it is truly one of the absolute best days of the year. There is nothing better than walking into a classroom with the superintendent who has a giant check and literally changing a student's life in that moment. And when they call their loved one on their phone, we all get a little teary-eyed and goosebumps because they're telling their mom or their dad or their grandmother or their brother or their sister or someone else that they love so much and who has supported them that, hey, things aren't going to be as hard for us as we thought they were. And thanks to this, I'm going to be able to go to college. It is a game changer. So I ask all of you on your welcome packets that we gave you on your programs today, on the back, there is a QR code. If you scan that QR code, you can make a donation that goes directly to the Superintendent Scholarship Fund. If you make a donation here during the event today, you are entered to win one of our gifts of gratitude, thanks to our friends at the University of Louisville Athletics. And we will announce those recipients at the end of the event today. But if you need a little more nudging than just hearing from me, we want to welcome up a student who can tell you firsthand how your support has helped them. So join me in welcoming Shayla Tabares Cuesta. She is a 2021 graduate of Louisville Central High School. She is now a senior at Bellarmine University, and she is a past scholarship recipient. Shayla.
Hi everyone, my name is Shayla Tabares Cuesta. I was born and raised in Cuba, and I have been in Louisville for almost 10 years now. I graduated from Central High School 2021, and I received the JCPS Employee Scholarship. I'm currently a senior at Bellarmine University, completing a psychology degree with a concentration in clinical and counseling, and I also have minors in biology and biochemistry. After undergrad, I plan. Thank you. After undergrad, I plan to pursue a clinical and counseling concentration degree and a master's that just actually got approved today at Bellarmine. And yeah. I initially aspired to become a cardiologist, but now I'm just navigating and seeing what's my role in medicine and continue to explore that path. Education has always been a priority in my family and myself, and together we would have found the means to pay for college, but my experience would not have been this meaningful and enriching. I have been able to gain leadership experience by serving as the president of a registered organization at Bellarmine. Additionally, I have mentored first-year students of color to navigate the complexity of college life. I'm currently an intern at the Counseling Center, breaking down the stigma around mental health and conducting informal consultations with other students to build a stronger community at Bellarmine. One of the major highlights of my college career has been studying abroad in England, where I took 2 classes, one in photography, one in London's art history, and that brought my perspective about society and also gave me a different appreciation for other cultures. These opportunities have allowed me to explore my passions and interests, providing me with the time to reflect and discover more of what I want to do in life. I believe and have learned that no one has it ever all figured out. But other students my age being given the chance to focus mostly on school and also immerse ourselves in the college experience is invaluable. This is not only beneficial for the person receiving, the individual, but upcoming generations that would also be impacted by our journeys. Thank you for supporting and considering other students to reach our full potential. Thank you.
Great job, Shayla. Thank you so much. Well, today is extra special for another reason. This will be Dr. Polio's final State of the District address. As we all know, he is retiring at the end of this school year. Dr. Polio has devoted so much of his heart, energy, and life to our schools, our students, for 3 decades now. And his leadership has had an immeasurable impact on the district and the future of not only JCPS, but Jefferson County. Today, we celebrate not only the state of the district, but also the incredible legacy that Dr. Polio has created. So please join me in welcoming Dr. Marty Polio for his 2025 State of the District.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much. That means so much to me to be in a room here surrounded by so many supporters of Jefferson County Public Schools and of public schools in general. And both of those are a little foreign right now. And we need all the people that we can to be supporters of public education in the United States right now and of Jefferson County Public Schools. I'm proud to be here amongst you all today to give you my 7th State of the District address. I can't believe that it's gone by this quick. As I said, so powerful to be in a room with so many supporters. And what I say is supporters who have been inside of JCPS schools. We have a lot of naysayers out there. I don't know if you knew this or not, but we have some naysayers out there who have never stepped foot inside a JCPS school. And most of you, if not all of you, have or are working inside of JCPS schools, are rolling your sleeves up and dedicating yourselves to be warriors for the students in this community, and that's what we need more of it. So thank you so much for being here today with us, and for all of you who have dedicated so much time and energy. Now, we'll tell you this, Carolyn, the communications team struck out. It's all about who you follow. And after following what was before me, there is no way I can live up to the expectation. So how about our students, our former student and our student at Expo Trail? Just amazing job. I will try my best to follow that up, but I'm not sure how that will work out. So today's speech is going to be a little bit different, and I'll talk about that in a second. For the first time, I wrote every single word of this speech, every single word of it myself. Usually I get a draft and here's some things we were thinking, and then we go through this. I said, I'm going to do it all on my own. And I kept getting texts over the weekend, how's that speech coming? How's that speech coming? So on Monday, I gave them the fake speech that they think is coming. And then today I came in with the real speech. So I'm sorry to the communications team, Mark and Carolyn. I don't know where you all ran off to, but there you are. But you'll have to clean up after me after all this is over. So this is, once again, my 7th State of the District speech. First, these speeches are one of my favorite things that I do in this job, although obviously it's very nerve-wracking to get up here and be the representative and talk about a district of 98,000 students and 17,000 employees. But I'm so proud to represent this great school district. Second, these speeches kind of serve as mile markers for me over the past 8 years, where I know if I'm going to come and stand in front of the community of supporters of JCPS, that I really have to make sure that we've made progress, that I can report the progress that we've made. And so that's been an important part of my work when it comes to State of the District addresses. And really my history as superintendent has been defined by these State of the District addresses. So as I was reflecting back in 2019, that evening after the State of the District address, we had teacher sick-outs because of what was happening in Frankfurt. Brent, I know you remember that, and never thought I would be canceling school for teacher sick-outs in 2019. In February of 2020, I gave this passionate speech about how we got to fund JCPS for our future state. Walked out and said I knocked it out of the park. And 2 weeks later, we shut down schools for COVID. I was once again the dummy who thought, oh, after spring break, we'll be back in, it wasn't even close to that. In 2021, when we were in the midst of COVID shutdown, I had to do my State of the District from a TV studio and announced at that time my recommendation to the board that we would be returning to school, and had a board meeting that night about whether we would return to in-person school or not. And in 2022, I gave the State of the District address at the Academy of Shawnee in sparsely populated area because we were still being impacted by COVID in the winter of 2022. So as you can see, a lot happens after the State of the District address. Let's hope that is not a sign for tonight. All right, teachers, we good? All right, just making sure we're good for tonight. So I think we are free from any snowstorms. It looks like the weather's great. I shouldn't have to get up at 4 in the morning and call off school. By the way, do you know how surreal that is? Especially the first time, but every time, I mean, I'm sitting there in my sweats looking out the window. And when I first started this, that's what it was. Me with one person on the phone, like, what do you think? What do the roads look like out there? And I said, this probably isn't the way we should be doing it. So now we have this large team call at 4:30 a.m. where we have a recommendation process. Rob Falk's been out on the road talking to National Weather Service. But it's still surreal when you're making that decision. Last Wednesday, we canceled school, and I had people up in arms, parents, about why are we canceling school for just a dusting? Then Thursday morning, we went to school, and all the teachers and the students were up in arms because we were at school with snow on the ground. So that's really the job, right? It doesn't change that much. So let's hope nothing happens tonight. So today, I really do want this to be less about a speech. I've got some things that I need to accomplish today. Number one, I want to make sure to thank a lot of people who have been on this journey with me for 8 years. That's an important part for me. Number two is, obviously, I'm going to give some reflections on my time as JCPS superintendent, really my time in this district, but some reflections that I think are important for this community of supporters of public education to understand. And then finally, I really want to talk about some of the accomplishments that we have made here as a district and how I think these accomplishments, it's so important, despite leadership change, that this community says we are behind these changes and we are going to stay with these changes because they are really taking root now. And we have the opportunity to gain the fruit of this labor and this hard work, but it must continue on. So I want to start by giving thanks today to so many of the groups who represented in this room today. First of all, I would like to start by recognizing our board members from the Board of Education. And I want to say this, being a board member is not easy, without a doubt. It is a tough job. It is tireless work. They make no money for their work. I think it's a thankless job in many ways because just like me and some of us, they're under attack and it's really unfair. But I will say this about the 7 board members that we have now. I believe they are all committed to the success of children, and that's why they are doing this job. So I really would like to recognize our board members for their work and tireless commitment to JCPS. We were at a board meeting last night until about 8:30, which was much better than the one last month, right? But still, I mean, that was work last night, and we get up and get right back after it today. And that's our board members, and they all have other jobs that they have to do. So I'm going to have them stand. Please hold your applause until the end. Our chair, Corey Schull. Our vice chair, James Craig. Gail Logan Strange. Trevin Bass. Linda Duncan, Tricia Lister, and Taylor Everett. How about a round of applause for our board members? And I want to say this, that all the changes that we have made would only, we've worked hand in hand together, our Board of Education, myself and our team over these 8 years. And so I'm very thankful to be working with a partnership of these great board members. Next, I really need to thank the team that surrounds me. Obviously, I can only be as good as the team that surrounds me. Those in central office, although vilified often, just like me, that supposedly we're fat cats sitting up there not doing any work. Meanwhile, they're busting their tails every single day, giving to this district. I can't say enough about the team. I'd like to announce them all, but we'd be here for a little while if I talked about each one of them. But we would not be successful without this talented team. So if I could have our cabinet, assistant soups, and EAs or central office administrators, please stand. Thank you so much for all of your hard work. I know I'm not the easiest to work for at times. I'm seeing who's laughing there. Matt? No, not laughing. Okay. But I just, they are great educators who have made a difference in the lives of students. Also want to thank some principals that we have here. I'd love to have them all, but obviously we got principals working today. But they are representing the 155 principals that we have across this district who are doing the hard work each and every day. I love being a principal. It's probably my favorite role. Can't say enough about the work our principals are doing. Any principal in the room, please stand up. Thank you so much for being here. Also, obviously, have to thank our teachers. Most of our teachers are working as they're, right now. I mean, they're in front of kids right now, teaching away and making a difference in kids' lives. But I know we have representatives from JCTA, President Maddie Shepard, former President Brent McKim. Thank you all for being here, and for all in JCTA and the teachers. Please stand up. Thank you for being here with us today. I wanted to recognize our mayor, Mayor Greenberg, who has been, an absolute champion for public education and a good partner with me over the past couple of years. I can't say enough about Mayor Greenberg and his wife, Rachel, who I found out has now been in 40 JCPS schools, working with our kids and making a difference. Thank you so much to the mayor and Rachel Greenberg. I'd also like to recognize the Executive Director of the Council of the Great City Schools who flew in today for this ceremony or this speech. Ray Hart is the Executive Director. If you don't know, the Council of the Great City Schools is a collaborative of about 78 school districts across the nation, the largest school districts based on enrollment across the nation, all of the major cities. Ray has been an absolute advocate for urban education across America, continues to fight, was fighting yesterday in Congress for a budget that was passed that I'll talk about here in a little bit. But just an incredible representative for all of us and been a great support of mine as we bring together superintendents to talk about our challenges. Ray, thank you so much for being here. Also wanted to recognize quickly a couple of 2 or 3 folks who have supported me a lot in my role and just personally supported me along the way. Jim Lancaster, I don't know if Jim is here or not, but Jim Lancaster has been an absolute support for me. And I get up in the mornings and may have 5-paragraph texts giving me like his thoughts on some crisis that I'm working on. So Jim has been an absolute champion. Michael Gritton, thank you so much. Michael, where are you? I know you're here. Thank you so much, Michael, for your support. Michael goes above and beyond with the Academies of Louisville work, but also has been a personal supporter of mine, and I can't say enough thank you. And I also want to thank Audwin Helton. Audwin has just been from the very beginning. Audwin was back working with us at J-Town when I was principal there in GIS, Doss High School, and just carried right on. Talks often and has been a huge supporter. So thank you, Audwin, for all your support. And finally, obviously, my family, my wife, Jessica, my daughter, Genevieve, who is her 20th birthday today. And so she had the most famous trip down to college that any student has ever had. Wanted her here, but evidently there's something going on tonight, so she's not going to be here. But my wife, Jessica, and my daughter have been through it, obviously. I mean, I'm the one that, I'm used to it. I can handle it. I work for Bobby Knight. I can handle it. But they've also had to take a lot of the brunt of me being gone a lot and also the support that obviously I need when I come home. So thank you to my wife and my daughter for their support. All right, so we're going to get on with some of the reflections that I'd like to provide and then some of the accomplishments, and that's how we're going to do it today. So let's get started with some of those reflections. So as I said, I've spent 28 years in JCPS, and I have spent 30 in public education. So I did the math on this the other day, and I'm right at about 5,000 school days in JCPS. That's not work days, that's 5,000 JCPS school days, and I've got about 40 or 50 left. It's an amazing number when I think back, but it all happened so fast. I have visited all 155 of our schools at least 3 times at this point. And I know that doesn't sound like a whole lot, but when you go to a school as superintendent, you're going to be in there a while, which is a great thing. Talking to people, seeing kids, it's fantastic. Most schools I've been in 5 to 10 times. I say this not to brag on me being out in schools or anything like that, but more to say, I believe I have a better vision in totality or view of JCPS schools than anyone when we talk about the entire spectrum of K through 12. And it's amazing to me, the people that are so critical of this great school district, as I said before, that have never stepped a foot inside of JCPS, despite being invited often. And so we have many critics out there that we invite often to say, come to our school, come inside the school, see what's happening with our educators and our students, and then tell me afterwards if you feel the same way. We hardly ever get taken up on that offer to visit our schools. The vast majority of you have spent a great amount of time in our schools and know what's happening each and every day, from our educators to our students, to see how we are meeting the needs of our schools, or of our students, excuse me. And I'm not saying the district is perfect by any means. No doubt about that. I'm not saying we don't need to focus on continuous growth and improvement. Everyone needs to do that. We've got a lot of things that we need to continue to improve. But I do believe that this school district is one that this community should be very proud of. You should be proud of the school district in this community. I know that's not a common thing to say. I'll talk to Ray Hart from a national perspective. From a national perspective, as you will hear, we are seen as a leader in urban education across this nation. Yet at home, thank you. Yet at home, all too often, that's not what you hear. In the past decade, the jobs of educators have become so much more difficult. I mean, think about it. We faced a pandemic, severe staffing shortages, being in the eye of the political storm that is just gets hotter each and every single day. We've seen significant increases in challenges for students. So I just want to say this, in the past 2 decades, 12,000 more children in JCPS qualify for free and reduced lunch than just 2 decades ago. 12,000 students. We now have almost 1 in 4 students who are multilingual learners. And I want to say, absolutely contribute to the fabric of our schools and love every minute with our multilingual learners. But clearly, that's an additional challenge for teachers and schools to meet the needs of students who are trying to learn the English language while learning content at the same time. That challenge is immense. And so we have seen severe increases in mental health issues amongst kids across this nation over the past decade or two, continue to grow. Suicide rates continue to grow. And we know, though, that despite all of these needs that kids have, most of our kids in this district, they see the safest place that they can be is inside of a JCPS school. And so I see it every day when I go into schools. I see the just incredible work that is happening. So I encourage you, if you have not had the opportunity to be inside of a JCPS school often, I'd really encourage you, spend some time inside a JCPS school. You're going to hear the narrative, and you've heard the narrative from decision makers and legislators out there about this failing school system. And all I ask is, once again, come inside of our schools and see what you think. Those that have been inside of our schools within JCPS do not feel that way at all. So I encourage you, come spend more time. I encourage you, to any of the detractors that you know who speak about JCPS in a negative way, to ask them to spend some time inside of a JCPS school. Second part, I really want to talk about this narrative in our community about good schools versus bad schools. It's a narrative nationally. What's a good school and what's a bad school? But I think it is more intense and probably more prevalent inside of Jefferson County than anywhere else in the nation right now. I know you've all heard it. We've probably all said it before. That's a good school and that's a bad school. It seems like everybody in this community wants to rank our schools from top to bottom. What's the best school? What's the worst school? You shouldn't go to that school. You need to go to this school, things like that. Unfortunately, it's become a pecking order. And if we had time, I'd ask you to write down right now. Think about it. What makes a good school? Or what makes a bad school? That narrative that we hear so often. And here's what I believe all too often that definition comes down to. Good school is a collection of high-achieving students on standardized tests that come from well-to-do families. A bad school is usually one defined as a collection of lower-achieving students on standardized tests that come from homes of poverty. And let's be honest, we know this color plays a role in that as well. It plays a role in that as well. And that's devastating to the teachers, to the leaders, and most importantly, to the students and the children in those schools. And so let me share what my definition of a great school is. A great school should be completely defined by the attitudes, beliefs, and actions of the adults within inside the school building. What those adults do to meet the needs, the significant needs of the children within inside that school building. We know schools with higher poverty have students with higher need. And so the more we continue the narrative about good school, bad school, the less people will want to work in those schools, and the more devastating it will be to the children within those schools. I believe that schools that are filled with higher achieving, wealthy students, I believe they can be very effective schools. They can be ineffective schools. And the same with those schools that are filled with students of poverty who have immense challenges. They can be effective schools or they can be ineffective schools. And so I want to give you a couple quick examples. In 2016, I went to Doss High School. Doss High School was considered the second lowest performing school in the state of Kentucky at the time, the second lowest high school. My only ask of Dr. Hargens at that time was I could bring my own team in. We brought in a team of people that I said, guess what? Every kid's going to have significant issues. We've got 100 kids that are homeless. We've got a 40% of our kids who are English language learners or qualify for special education. And guess what? We're going to everybody's coming in, open arms. We are going to make this experience for you the greatest it can possibly be. If you had a bad day yesterday, come on in. We're bringing you back in today. We're going to have a better day today. If you didn't do well on an assessment, guess what? That's on us. We're going to make sure that you do well on that assessment. And in 2 years, we had grown from the second lowest performing school in the state to the 12th lowest performing school in the state. Well, great for us. Still considered a failing school by almost everyone in Jefferson County. And I would put that staff up against any single school in the Commonwealth of Kentucky. And I believe, as a result, was the best school because what the adults did to meet the needs of the students in the building. A second quick story, Bick Elementary School. I think Bick Elementary School is a fantastic elementary school. We had a foundation meeting at Bick Elementary School about 2 years ago. And some of their student ambassadors met us at the front door, fourth graders, so 9, 10 years old. And they brought us a sheet that said, we put together our proclamations about Bick Elementary School. And I will say this again, high need school, multilingual learners, high poverty, probably 90, 95%, doing amazing things. Their number one statement that this 9-year-old said, Bick is a good school and not a bad school. And I asked the young lady, why do you have to say that? And she said, because everyone thinks Bick is a bad school and we don't like that. And I said, that is just devastating to the people inside of the school building, those that are working, and the students inside of the school building. I mean, that is absolutely devastating. So we've got to do better than that, guys. We've got to do better. And so I challenge you this. When people ask, when you hear, that's a good school, ask them why. Why do you say that? If that's a bad school, why do you say that? It's always going to come down to collection of high-achieving students from wealthy households. And unfortunately, not many students of color. I believe that. I've experienced it myself, and I think we have to do better than that as a district. Also want to highlight the work of our reside schools. And for those of you who don't know, our reside schools are the schools where most of our children go to school. They're the elementary, middle, or high schools that this is my address, this is where I'm going to school. What's happened in this community, and I will say this, we have wonderful magnet schools in this community. We really do. But what has happened in this community is we have now had a narrative that the only great school you can go to is a magnet school. And I disagree with that wholeheartedly. From the work of the academies of Louisville to our Explore Pathways to the work that's happening in every single school to meet the needs of our kids, our reside schools are doing absolutely amazing work. We had visitors from other cities all across America coming to see our high schools yesterday, our resides high schools, because of the work that they are doing. So I think, yes, we should celebrate our magnet schools as being amazing, but we also need to celebrate our reside schools who are teaching every single kid that comes in that school. That's what public school is. We teach everybody. We teach everyone who comes in, no matter what your challenge is, no matter what country you came from, we teach every single child. And that's what a public school is, and that's our reside schools. So thank you to all of you who are working in all of our schools, but especially those that are working in our reside schools. All right, so now for probably the most controversial issue right now that is affecting public education that I think gets more intense every single day. Our state legislators and our federal government are attacking the work of racial equity every single day, and it's something that we have focused on in this district for the past 8 years. See, I see the cameraman starting to pipe up now, right, John? Starting to pipe up now. I do believe we've done amazing work over the past 8 years to ensure, and I once again say this, all children have what they need to be successful. That's what equity is, guys. All students have what they need to be successful. And we get attacked from every angle about this work right now. We're really the only ones in the Commonwealth of Kentucky doing this work. So clearly, any legislation against equity is focused on Jefferson County Public Schools. But I believe this about the achievement gap. The only way to eliminate or reduce the achievement gap is to attack this problem from all angles. This is not one thing, it's not one initiative, not one program we can do. It is to attack it from all angles. And so in nearly every city and district in America right now, the superintendents and staff, we are sitting, working, lamenting about the achievement gap between Black and white students. I sit around the table with my colleagues from the Council of the Great City Schools. Never have we discussed giving kids something, that they haven't earned or don't deserve. Instead, our work is always to identify ways to give students what they need to be successful. Equity is about this line that I've used so often. You've heard me use it. I've used it so many times. Those with the least amount of resources in their homes have the most amount of resources in their schools. I've never given a speech when I've said that line, which has been a multitude of times, where everybody in the room doesn't shake their head yes. Yep, that makes sense. Those with the least amount of resources in their schools should have the most amount of resources in their home. However, we don't do that in this country. It's actually opposite. Those with the least amount of resources in the home have the least amount of resources in their schools. And I'm proud to say in JCPS, we have fought against that for the past 8 years, restructured the way we've done things in so many different ways to ensure that we are eliminating and at least reducing that achievement gap. We are seeing great results as of now, but we have to continue that fight. And this is what I say. If this is happening in every large and small school district in America, you may have heard me say this, it's a systemic issue. It's a systemic issue. If it is happening in every large and small district in America, and I will say this, I believe this to be true. If it is happening in so many districts across America, only one of two things can be true. Either one, this nation believes that Black children cannot achieve at the same level as white children, or there are systemic inequities that have occurred historically and currently that are leading to achievement gaps across this nation. Clearly, I believe in the latter. Now, I'll say this, obviously not all of them are in school between the school walls, but we have to own those that have happened and continue to work to attack those. Many have happened in the community. As a community, we have to continue to do that work. But if we don't have the opportunity to do this work, then we all have to acknowledge we can't hold schools accountable or districts accountable for the achievement gap. We must continue this work, guys. I'll close out the first part of this on reflections with the power of public education. And I really want to make sure that we understand this, because public education is under attack right now more than it's ever been in 30 years in my career. People are working hard to tear down the institutions around public education. It is really clear. And I want to say this, I'm a champion of public education. My mom and dad were both teachers in this community and in this county. My dad in the old city school system, my mom for 20 years in Jefferson County Public Schools. I was a public school graduate. My daughter was a public school graduate went to JCPS for 12 years, graduate of JCPS. I've worked in it for 3 decades. So I say that to say I'm clearly biased about my beliefs about public schools. And it's not to say that there are not other great options for education out there. There are. But my angle is, and my belief is, this community, this Commonwealth, this nation will only go as far as our public education systems go. And Franklin stole my line, but as it is, the answer to most of our problems long-term is public education. Yes, there are short-term solutions to many things, but the answers to our problems across the community, Commonwealth, and nation is public education. So you know what? He said it, but I'm going to say it again. I'm extremely proud of this Commonwealth and this community on how they voted for Amendment 2 back in November. Every single county, all 120, voted no. No matter what anyone says, it was not about the wording on the ballot. It wasn't any of that stuff. It wasn't about superintendents saying things that weren't true. It wasn't any of those things. It was that the Commonwealth truly supports public education. And also in Jefferson County, where I think our detractors felt we were going to lose immensely, or it was going to be a yes vote. 2/3 of the voters in Jefferson County voted no to Amendment 2. 2/3, when everyone thought it was going to be an overwhelming vote the other way. As a matter of fact, out of the hundreds of precincts, there was only a handful that voted yes. Almost all of them voted no, which I believe means this community supports Jefferson County Public Schools. In my 8 years, as superintendent, we faced a lot of attacks, state takeover, former governor attacking us on multiple fronts, every single session facing attacks from the state legislature. But what I do know and what these results tell me is that, yes, the community wants us to improve and get better as a public school district, but we also have the support of this community as we continue to get better. Public, once again, is under attack in the United States. I'm deeply concerned about the future of public education. Just last night, late in the evening, the House of Representatives passed a budget that would potentially slash federal funding for public schools. That includes Title I, Title II, Title III, IDEA, and nutrition services. So let me talk about what those are briefly. Title I goes to poor students in poor neighborhoods across the nation. Title II goes to train teachers. Title III goes to support multilingual learners so that they can learn the English language. IDEA is for special education students, and nutrition services are so children can have meals, breakfast and lunch. Now, why in the world are we cutting these things? I mean, I just have to say, what are we doing if we are not supporting these things in public education? So I would encourage you, speak to your legislatures. We've got to start demanding that we fund our public schools the right way. As Franklin said, and this is not political, I've been attacked from both sides of the aisle. That's when I think I know I'm doing a good job, I guess. However, together, no matter what side of the aisle, left or right, our job, our work should be supporting our neediest children in this community because it is the future of education. As I begin to finish, I do want to finish with some of the accomplishments we've made and some of the things that I think this community needs to demand, this board needs to demand that we continue. And it's not everything, but there are a lot of things that I'm really proud of, the work that we've done together. I think we're about to see the fruits of this labor in major ways. And I want to make sure we all know we've got to continue these. I've talked a lot about here in my state of the district for the past 4 years about the future state of JCPS. Through that pandemic, we made these massive changes. There's not many districts out there, guys, that during the pandemic, the staffing challenges that are occurring right now, the budget shortfalls that are occurring in districts all across the nation that are making the changes that we have made. But I believe these changes, if continued, will be the foundation for decades of improved student outcomes for our kids. So let me highlight those briefly. First of all, learning. I know that sounds, but teaching and learning is a huge thing. We've done some of our most amazing work in teaching and learning and vibrant experiences that are getting in their schools, classrooms, and community. We've recently launched our Journey to Success. You may not have heard that, but our Journey to Success Backpack 2.0. It's the absolute future of school accountability. I believe the next accountability model in the state of Kentucky will be like the Journey to Success. It's really a revamp of our backpack of success skills that values vibrant learning, kids doing meaningful things, and the creation of the artifacts that students put in their backpack, and it prepares them to succeed in JCPS. I'm really, really proud for the first time we have a K through 12 approach to math and literacy across all of our schools in JCPS. I can't say what a high lift that was when you're talking about 6,600 teachers and 155 schools. But now you can go to any school and see that same approach when it comes to literacy and math. I don't think there's many school districts doing that right now. And bringing in these high quality instructional resources for our kids so all kids have access to this. Every single school, every single child has access to them. We've expanded our Academies of Louisville, thanks to all of our business partners who have supported Academies of Louisville and Explore Pathways. When we came into this, we were way behind Nashville. Now we've got people visiting us nationally to see the work that we're doing in our Academies of Louisville and Explore Pathways. We've become a national leader in this work, guys. We really have. And it's leading to outcomes that we are seeing: improved literacy and math outcomes, graduation rates, post-secondary readiness. Really proud to see the progress that we're making. So as a community, I think it is absolutely critical that we ensure future commitments to our journey to success, aligned curriculum, the Academies of Louisville, and Explore Pathways. Change in leadership is a challenge when this happens, and it has caused some of these programs, these initiatives, to erode as a result of leadership change. It is critical. And the great thing, all of these are community-wide things that we built together. It's not me, it's us. We've got to continue this work to make sure that we meet our outcomes and goals that were set by the Board of Education. Resourcing our high-poverty schools. We have become, once again, I say this, I believe we've become absolute leaders in this across the nation. We have people asking us daily, how are we funding our schools in an equitable way when no one else is? We have now an equity-based funding formula with racial equity funds earmarked for schools. We have what's called E3, which is secondary funding that we provide to our high poverty schools so they can do things like every other one of our schools, whether that's the best of uniforms for football games, whether that's the best field trips, whether that is the best art supplies inside of a school. Usually our high poverty schools don't have those. Thank you for our foundation for helping us support with our E3 funding. But this is improving our daily experiences for our kids. We have dramatically increased our funding for what we now call our enhanced support zone, which is our CSI schools plus our choice zone schools, to make sure that we can give extra stipends to teachers in our highest need schools. We continue to work that and make sure funding is never an issue. Like I said, those with the least amount of resources in their home have the most amount of resources in their schools. And so we must continue to ensure this equitable funding, especially around the choice zone. We must continue to focus on tutoring of our students. We must continue to focus on summer learning. We must continue to focus on the impact of our Elevate centers. We've got to get kids more time on learning, more time on task, more time on in front of our teachers. That's what ensures improvement and students catching up when they are behind. Also want to recognize a partner in this who has been amazing, Evolve 502. Do we have anybody from Evolve 502 in the room? Thank you so much for being here with Evolve 502. We have done great things with them around the scholarship for all JCPS students, but also around wrapping our arms around kids during summer months after school to make sure kids have that extra time in front of a teacher. We've spent a lot of time at the Harlem Children's Zone over the past couple of years. An amazing, amazing place, an amazing educator in Jeffrey Canada. And if Jeffrey Canada was here, which I consider to be one of the top educators in the history of this nation, if he were standing here right now, he would say JCPS does the best work around providing additional services and wraparound services for kids. So thank you so much to Evolve 502. Also, facilities. We've made monumental progress in our facilities. Cut the ribbon on 4 brand new school buildings recently. We have 4 or 5 others that are currently being built right now, including W.E.B. Du Bois, which will have a new campus August of 2026. So one more year and they're going to have their full school, that full school. We're in the planning phases of 4 additional schools. By the start of next school year, we will have rebuilt 9 of our high school outdoor athletic facilities and provided playgrounds to all of our high needs elementary schools. The district and community must be committed to never falling behind in facilities again. We are still probably 2 decades behind where we need to be. But we cannot fall behind again. We must stand tall and say our kids deserve the same facilities as Oldham County or Fayette County or every other city in America, and I would say even better. And you know what? Our highest need kids need those facilities as a symbol to them that we care about them. Our workforce development obviously remains one of the biggest challenges we face in JCPS and K-12 schools across the nation. I'm going to be honest with you, I'm extremely concerned about what staffing will look like in schools a decade from now. It's a challenge every day right now to hold school. It really is. We have half of the amount of teachers going into post-secondary certification programs than we did a decade and a half ago. And obviously each year a certain number of teachers retire. That's not a good formula for success when we look long-term. But I am proud of the supports we provided to our schools to make sure kids have what they need. Here's what we've added since 2018. Mental health professionals in every school, school nurses in every school, safety administrators in middle and high schools, implementation coaches, which is a person dedicated to working with our special education students in every school, academic instructional coaches to support teachers and their professional development in every single school, and a fully staffed police department trained to provide safety for our students, meet the needs of state law, but also make sure we are supporting kids in the right way and not just being punitive, but doing the things we need to do to support kids. We've increased our teachers of color, administrators of color through amazing programs like the Louisville Teacher Residency and the Jefferson County Leadership Academy. But we have major work to do. We really do. And this is what I'm going to tell you. I believe this, as a Board of Education and a community, we have to invest in our workforce like we never have before. The districts that invest in their workforce will have teachers in their classroom, drivers on their buses, and their schools fully staffed. Those districts nationally that don't will suffer from immense vacancies. And I believe this, our Board of Education and this community is going to have to get behind another revenue increase to fully support staff pay when it comes to teacher pay, bus driver pay, and all of our educator pay if we want to be the district that is fully staffed 10 years from now while others are struggling with increased class size and reduction in cuts to student services. And 2 more brief ones and then I'll wrap up. So technology. We've had major advances in technology over the last 8 years I'm so proud of. Student devices I've talked about before, weapons detection systems have dramatically reduced the amount of weapons inside of our school. I do believe we're a leading district in technology as well. And within the next couple of months, I'm real excited, we'll complete what's called our audio enhancement project. This is a microphone that teachers wear around their neck. First and foremost, it amplifies the teacher's voice. Research shows that that helps all students in the classroom. Obviously, if I were you, this does not do the same thing as if I'm talking like this. That's what the research shows. Second of all, for safety purposes, there is a panic button for the teacher that can notify EMS, can notify police, and make sure and notify the administrators at the school to let them know whether it's a medical emergency, a safety emergency, or God forbid, an active shooter, that we have the access to immediate identification of where this problem is. And finally, which I am so proud, we are now going to be a pilot school. We trained yesterday for this with audio enhancement, a pilot school where if the teacher is speaking into the microphone and the student is wearing headphones, the student will be listening to the teacher in their home language. I wanted to show a young girl at Thomas Jefferson Middle School yesterday that was listening to her teacher for the first time in Arabic. She did not feel comfortable having her picture or video here, as you can imagine, which I think is heartbreaking just to that point alone. But just the fact that you could see her face, people around them were crying. We will open up at TJ for the first time in about a month. And then by next year, we hope that all 22,000 of our ML learners will have the opportunity to listen to their teacher in one of 122 different languages. And I will say this, the challenge is ensuring that we're still teaching English language development, while at the same time teaching content. This will support content, it will support teachers, while we still work to develop that English language development. And then finally, school choice. We've had an overwhelming response to family in our choice zone, for families in the choice zone wanting to stay close to home. I'm happy to report we've also seen improved outcomes as a result for these students. And I'm not saying that one is better than the other. Our focus on the student assignment plan was to ensure choice, that a family specifically in West Louisville could go close to home if they wanted, or they could take their far away option. And so recent findings from external research show that students residing inside the choice zone and attending a school inside the choice zone have higher ratings for school culture on the Comprehensive School Survey, including a greater sense of belonging, more caring environment, increased personal safety, and a higher engagement than those who chose the farther away option. Also, students who live in the choice zone and attend that school in the choice zone have lower chronic absenteeism and lower suspension rates than those that leave the choice zone. A lot of that, though, is from the financial support that we are providing to these schools. So clearly, the transportation challenges continue to be a major concern when it comes to access to magnets. We're working extremely hard, I can tell you this, to bridge that gap in many ways to make sure all families have access to magnets and to wonderful schools in JCPS. I believe this, the district most importantly must continue to ensure that all of our schools in the choice zone and high poverty areas are funded and provided with the resources in an equitable way, which means, once again, providing students with what they need to be successful. So as you can see, we've done immense work over the past 8 years. Although sometimes, as I said before, we can be vilified locally, and I can as well. But however, I'll say this again, nationally, we are seen as a model school district in so many ways. I'm really, really proud of the work that has taken place. And as we move forward, I can promise you this, I'm going to be the biggest cheerleader for JCPS. So clearly, it's time for me to hand over the baton to a new leader. And I just hope that this community gets behind, once again, the next superintendent, gets behind the changes we have made and ensures that these changes do not erode. And constantly, if we do that and constantly focus on continuous improvement, we will see better outcomes than we have ever seen in this community. From a personal note, I want to thank all of you here for your support for JCPS Public Education, for those of you who have rolled up your sleeves, which is almost every single person in this room. From a personal standpoint, I want to thank you all for the last 8 years. So many of in here during difficult times have given me texts of support, say keep going, and really that's what's helped me to keep going. I'll be honest, I never thought for a minute that I would be in this position as superintendent when I took over as basketball coach and teacher at Shawnee High School in 1997. I think my wife says she thought she was marrying a high school basketball coach. And so I really did not think about this. And I'll say this, the work has been more challenging than I thought it would be. No one could have predicted the things that we would deal with as we have gone through all of the challenges of the past 8 years. But I have to say, I'm so proud of the work that we have done over the past 8 years. And I'm so proud to have led Jefferson County Public Schools. And I will sprint through the finish line all the way to the end. Thanks so much to each one of you and your support of JCPS. Thank you.
Thank you, Dr. Polio. Thank you for everything. Right now, I want to welcome Mayor Greenberg up. Mayor Greenberg and the First Lady are fierce supporters of JCPS. We appreciate everything, and the mayor has a special presentation.
Good afternoon, everyone. That's a tough act to follow. Well, when I became mayor 2 years ago, I heard lots of advice. And one of the pieces of advice that I heard over and over and over again was, do not get involved with JCPS. They said what Franklin said. He's got the hardest job in our entire city. Not sure I agree. There were lots of different reasons for that. But as a proud JCPS grad, I ignored that advice. And I ignored that advice for 2 reasons. First, because as both Franklin and Dr. Polio said, the long-term solution to all of our challenges as a community, to all of our challenges as a country, is high-quality public education for every child in our city. And the second reason I ignored that advice was because I knew that I would have a strong partner, a strong leader, a committed person to our community, and Dr. Polio, who I could work alongside with to help address the challenges in our city and to help support every kid in our community. And over the past 2 years as mayor, it has been one of the great honors to work with you, Dr. Polio, to try to find ways to ignore that advice collectively and to move our city forward for the benefit of our kids today and our city tomorrow. So when it came time to work to make early education a reality for all kids so that they don't show up for their first time in a classroom on their first day of kindergarten, as Dr. Polio often talks about, and they're already behind then, working to make that a reality. Or when it comes to address the challenges that our public transportation system, TARC, faces and JCPS was facing, working with fine folks like Alice Houston and others, we could create a win-win situation to help TARC and JCPS families. We came together and addressed those. To address public safety challenges that are disproportionately impacting young kids in our community. And the list goes on and on again. I'm glad I ignored that advice, and I'm glad I've had the opportunity to work with you, Dr. Polio. So on behalf of all of the citizens, you've got 100,000 in your families, kids in your district. On behalf of everyone in the city of Louisville, I want to give you this special proclamation honoring you for the amazing service that you have given JCPS and that you have given our entire city. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Mayor Greenberg. Thank you to all of you in this room. Through today's event, we have raised $55,000 to go to the Superintendent Scholarship Fund. That is amazing. That is changing lives. And now we have our gifts of gratitude from our friends at U of L Athletics. Those folks who donated today during the event were randomly selected to receive these. You can pick up your tickets from Mark Hebert. Will have them in the back of the room after. He didn't know that, but he will, and he will give those to you. So the University of Louisville men's basketball tickets, Michael Gritton. The University of Louisville women's basketball tickets, Eva Stone. And our U of L football tickets go to Kim Morales. So again, thank you to our friends at U of L Athletics for providing us with those gifts of gratitude, but more importantly, thank you to each of you in this room. Thank you for your support of JCPS, for our students, for our staff, and for your dedication to JCPS. Thank you for being here today, and Dr. Polio, thank you for everything. Thank you all.